Hello and welcome to another horror review. I'm joined once again by Steve as we continue along the Amicus series of anthology films. Released in 1971, this film tells four stories around a mysterious rental house. The movie was made in a budget of $208,330,000 and brought in $1 million at the box office. Greetings, Steve. Happy New Year to you.
Yes, indeed.
We're off to 2024 with Facebook breaking on us already. Fantastic.
Yeah. Excellent.
On
the first one of 2024 then.
Yep. As we carry on. Yeah, it was weird. I had a break, obviously. I had a week off from streaming, and it's so strange.
Did you sit there going, "Oh, what can I do now?"
Yeah, it's like, obviously, I got invited on to a friend's stream to talk about June Messiah, so I was having to reread that book again, get it into my head, and so I ended up being busy, but not streaming. Very strange, especially when you do this so often.
Yeah,
and it's kind of part of your fabric, and like I'll take a week off, and you're like, what?
yeah.
So it's good to get back. It's good to get back talking about these, and this was a good entry into the franchise.
I thought it was very, very good. I enjoyed this one as much as I enjoyed From Beyond the Grave. Really,
Yeah. This is definitely up there. I think we've got the top three already.
Yeah,
For this series, I think we've only one left to do.
It's Dr. Terror's.
Yes, something like that. We've one more to do, I think, and then that's the anthology series covered, and then we'll have to look at something else to amuse ourselves with. Another series of films. Yeah. Suggestions in the chat, folks, if you wanted to cover something. We like to cover older movies, sort of look back in time at some of the classics.
Yeah, it's no good covering Friday the 13th. 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's he killed him in that one. Yeah, he killed her in that one.
Yeah, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, he killed.
No. These sort of ones, you want a bit of a story. That's like the Hammer House horror movies. But there's tons of them. We'll be doing that for a year or so. We've covered all those. I think with this Amicus one, because there weren't that many of them, and obviously when they start up again, as they're rumored to do, we'll probably jump back on and see what they produce. It could be good, could be terrible. It's just a coin flip.
Yeah. The good thing about this one was you noticed it from the start because it wasn't that crappy music that they used in the next two, was it?
Yeah, there was actually subdued music. Now the organ, of course, is a bit over the top. I think they needed to just dial down the volume a bit on the organ.
Yeah.
It's like they've got Animal from the Muppets playing the organ, going ah!
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, much more subdued. What I don't understand about this series is why they didn't pay the money at the start, get a good score, and then use it for all the series, and then you've got an identity. It stands out in its own, and it doesn't get confused with anything else because, like, we confused these with Hammer, because it just had the same sort of look and vibe, that sort of 70s vibe, which I think it was a mistake on Amicus's part because they didn't create their own identity.
No, right, yeah. But was that meant, that they thought, Hammer's doing very good, let's sort of catch on the bandwagon by sort of
riding the coattails.
Think that we're the same. You don't know, do you?
But that doesn't work. That's been proven time and time again. It only creates short-term goals. And if you're doing a one-off, yes, I can see that. But if you're trying to create your own identity as a studio and film production, that's the last thing you want to do, is to be known as the cheap imitation or the copy. Like, I'm no executive, and I know this. I'm not an extremely bright person, but I know this. Isn't a good idea. Copying something else that somebody else has done, leads it on their identity. You have to sort of create your own flavor, and that's what brings people towards you, and that's what creates the fan base.
Because if you do it as a writer, it's plagiarism. So why can't they do it as a?
Well, studios fine. I mean, it's only when it gets to a certain point we see it, but studios are in court with each other all the time.
Yeah.
That's you know what I mean. That's a day-to-day thing with them. They're always nicking and copying ideas, or they don't want to pay the scriptwriter, so they'll take a script. What do you call him? Jar Jar Abrams. That idea. He did it for Cloverfield Lane, I think.
Yeah.
So that was a script that was already out there, and he took it and shoved it in his universe, and I was to screw over the scriptwriter instead of just paying them.
Yeah.
Somebody has a good idea, and you're not out, and that's what I don't understand. It doesn't affect the bottom line, but they'll cut someone off because the bullies and I think they can rather than just giving them the credit. Because then, if they have a good idea and it's something sellable, you cultivate that, and then guess what? You get more good ideas.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't understand the creative industry. The
I,
more
I think in this day and age there isn't one, is there?
oh,
There's
no.
no creative these days. It's I mean, if you take this film, I mean, some of the stories were like they were created, you know, in a big way, because you would have never have thought in this day and age, oh yeah, I'll do that, you know, because I've got a cloak on, I'll turn into a vampire sort of thing. It just wouldn't go there. You know, oh, you know, the guy in my story is the guy who's trying to murder me, you know, and
yeah, but that's the whole point of storytelling. And yes, there might be elements that have been done before, but it's how you package it to create a unique entity. Yeah, and that's completely gone. That's just retread, remake, retread,
yeah,
paste over something before that was better and make
yeah,
it look worse and call the fans names, call the customers. It's like somebody walks into a shop, you own a shop, somebody walks into the shop and you punch them in the face as soon as they walk in and tell them it's their fault that they're not going to buy anything and walk out. It just
yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
But if you look at the films of today, you know, they've remade Poltergeist, they remade Psycho, they remade Friday the 13th, they remade Halloween. You know, can't someone somewhere think about something, you know, new to come into the, you know, are we producing really bad writers these days? You know, probably
It's
just saying,
not
you know,
that being produced, they're being brought into it's the corporate. I've talked about this now in the last couple of streams and last week because I've had time to think about it. The creative industry has become the civil service.
yeah,
They expect the money. It's become that bloated and lazy that they expect the money just to fall into their pockets and they don't have to go and earn it. The
yeah,
same as civil servants just think the magic tax tree that they don't have to earn their money. It just happens. Where a business, you have to, you have to cultivate your customers. You have to have people that are invested in your product or service, or else you don't have a business.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just that attitude and film.
Uh,
Obviously, Hollywood is
I see
the
it because,
epicenter
you
of it.
know, I subscribe to Amazon Prime, and I know people who get Netflix and Apple TV and the various other ones, and who produce their own stuff, and they're producing sort of hundreds of films, and only one of them might be good.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, well, why don't you concentrate on getting everything together, all the writing and everything, and you know, on that one film, rather than producing one good one and 99 terrible ones that get thrown straight to DVD, sort of thing.
Well,
Um,
I called this out actually a couple of years ago because I saw the pattern.
yeah,
Streaming has went the way of TV. So if you remember back in the God, when was this? Early 2000s, mid 2000s, the unplugging, people unplugged. So they basically unsubscribed from like Sky TV or broadcast TV, and they went to streaming.
yeah,
Because most of them wanted either to revisit an old series that they'd enjoyed or watch a movie, and they didn't want to watch TV because it was utter trite. Obviously, the TV mechanism, and I don't know how the life, because there's so much propping up of worthless products. It's such a bloat. You wonder where the money comes from or how it gets funded because it's not customers.
yeah,
But they then started getting involved with the streaming services because they saw their industry dying. So they've brought over the same bad attitude and the same model. So now we're seeing, let's use Amazon as an example. God, I can only speak today. Let us use Amazon as an example. That sounds better. They're now talking about They're going to add adverts. And if you pay a few pounds more a month, you can have less adverts. So there straight away is the whole point of subscribing out the window. They haven't twigged on. They shouldn't be making things.
No.
They should be buying the right, they should have a good procurement team.
Yeah.
And let studios make movies and let studios make TV shows. And then they sell, they have it's on them to make something worthwhile to sell to the streaming service. And then the streaming service only buys it if it looks as if it's, the pilots happened. They don't even do pilots anymore.
Amazon own MGM.
Amazon own a lot.
Because if you look at when the picture of the lion comes up on the thing, it comes up Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, an Amazon company.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but that's what's happened. Disney is the same. Disney, Amazon, Apple are the three main players that just buy everything, but they don't create. They just buy stuff, and it's all about. God, when was it? Have I asked you? Are you familiar with Goldratt?
With who? Sorry,
Goldratt. He's a writer. He's a writer. So he was an engineer, and he wrote a thing called The Theory of Constraints. And it comes from an engineering perspective, but it's actually a good book on problem solving.
Right.
And a thing he talked about as well is the Socratic method of business, basically telling through a story. But one thing I remember reading in one of his books was he was talking about a merger with a company. And the character, he's using the Socratic method, he's telling through a story. That makes sense of a business deal. But the main character was going, why am I going to buy this? It's not really that profitable. And one of his mentors was telling him, well, if you buy this, that means your competitors can't use it. And that's an aspect you have to put into the equation. If you buy a property, that means your competitor can't make something from it. So what these companies are doing are just ban everything so the competitors can't use it and make anything good.
Yeah.
And then that's contributed to the bloat, because then these useless companies have a multi-billion-dollar corporation backing so they can act as a loss leader.
Yeah.
So once again, it's become the civil service because they're not having to earn their money, because Mummy and Daddy's going to pay for them. And then that's the sort of writers, that's the creators, that's the actors to bring on board. It's people part of that bubble, because once nepotism starts and once something becomes a grift, there's nothing more aggressive than somebody trying to protect the grift. They know they haven't earned their place. They know they're there in borrowed time, so they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep their thing going, because they know they're not going to, if Amazon disappeared tomorrow, a lot of these smaller companies that were bought aren't going to make it through because they don't have a quality product.
No.
And we're seeing the reversal back to TV. We're going back to the old TV model. You have to subscribe to 10 different streaming services to get maybe 5 shows that you like.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm finding myself here's a knock-on effect, because I'm now going back to physical media personally. So I'm going back down to the local CEX store. I'm looking at secondhand stuff. I'm, picking up bargains, collector's editions, because then I have it and I don't have to subscribe to anything. I may as well pay the money and get something I'm going to watch more than once.
Yeah.
Than just subscribe to a load of streaming services that I'm not going to watch a lot of their stuff. And that's we're just seeing the history repeat itself. So people are going to unplug from streaming and they're going to go back to physical media.
One of the things I saw on about the BBC, actually, they've been thinking on scrapping the TV license because people were just
you have to keep your eyes on that. The charter runs out in 2027.
Yeah,
the Royal Charter runs out in 2027.
One of the things that I read was they're going to add it to the council tax, so everybody has to pay it,
or a media tax. So I think. Basically, anyone who supports the BBC is a paedophile, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if you're a politician, then you need to be. If you're trying to keep the BBC a business, that's because you've got up to something and they're covering your back. And we've seen that with Philip Schofield, that other guy, Huey, whatever you called him, Rolf Harris, Jimmy Savile. Martin Bashir, you saw his dodgy practices. It's a scumbag entity.
Yeah.
Whatever it used to stand for, it doesn't stand for anything today. They're absolute filth, and they need to just die. They need to just.
There's that joke, wasn't it? I found a 1976 copy of the Radio Times the other day in my loft, or the Sex Offenders Register, as it's now known.
They're absolute scumbags, and they haven't learned, and they haven't changed, and in fact, they've got worse.
Yeah.
I have no interest. I will watch nothing by the BBC.
Yeah.
I will.
I don't watch BBC. Never have done.
No, I've never really. I had a passing interest in it, but I never really was interested in it. But now, especially, I think it was the whole Martin Bashir thing that really. Jimmy Savile obviously turned me off, but the Martin Bashir thing and the sleaziness of them.
Yeah.
Whatever you agree or disagree about the Charles and Di thing or the royal family or whatever else, their behavior. Yeah, look at their behavior, and that was disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting what they did. And instead of kicking him to the curb and owning up to it and reforming, no, they doubled down and they covered up. They're just absolute slimy scumbag filth. I despise them. I despise them as an entity. I despise the people that work for them. And I'll probably get me in trouble on the internet for saying that, but that's where I stand. And I don't, I'll say it in public as well. If somebody asks me, I've no problem with that. I have no time for them whatsoever. They need to not get taxpayers' money and then make whatever they want.
It's an enforcement. They're forcing you to pay something if you want to watch a bit of TV.
Well, if you don't, obviously, there's more than enough options now.
Yeah. If you want to watch live TV, you've got to
if you watch live TV as it's broadcast or use BBC iPlayer, you have to pay this subscription fee.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's a subscription fee. If you don't do those two things, you play a straight game, you don't have to play it. You don't have to pay it at all. So when a TV inspector comes to your door, you just go, no, thank you, close the door, job done. That's it. You don't have to talk to them, engage with them, anything. If you're playing a straight game, you're sorted. That's it. They're trying to lie about it. They're trying to, because they know this is coming. No people are disgusted. But what's really making me angry is the fact that politicians are trying to cover these people. They're trying to create a new law. They're trying to sneak it in through the back door, and most people are.
They've probably got shares in the BBC, haven't
they? I would say skeletons in the closet.
Yeah,
I would genuinely say if an MP is trying to make feather the BBC's nest, the BBC has something on them, and personally, you don't let that person near children. And whatever MP is doing it, or member of the House of Lords, they need to be pariah. I mean, they need to be ostracized from society.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason. BBC Studios is the commercial arm of the BBC, and it makes billions selling BBC properties.
They sell right across the world, don't they?
Yeah.
BBC World Service, and they produce for other. I mean, BBC produces for ITV, and ITV produces for BBC. So
there's a commercial entity there. So there you go, and they're making billions. They're not a broke company. No. So therefore, there's no need for taxpayers' money. I know this has went on a bit of a tangent before we start, but this is something I'm actually quite passionate about. It makes me angry.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be forced to pay, like as a customer, you make whatever you want. If I like it, I'm going to buy it. And I'll support it, and I'll be a fan. If I don't like what you're making, then I'm not buying it. And calling me all the names of the day is not going to change it.
There was a guy who was actually measuring the amount of repeats that were on BBC day by day.
Mm-hmm.
And he says the average over a week was 72% repeats. He says, so they're being paid all this money to just make 28% of new programs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why should we pay 170 odd quid, isn't it now?
I think it is. I think it has went up
for them to produce 28%.
And there's even they're raking in billions. I mean, it's not there's actually countries in the world that have less of a GDP than the BBC.
Yeah.
And there's even the most recent one. Now, I didn't watch, but it's popped up. You know, the Doctor Who stuff?
Yeah.
Right. They actually had Disney partly fund those episodes over Christmas, their specials. So
Yeah.
even though they're making billions, they're still getting money from places like Disney. So there's something very wrong. And if they do it, that's fine. But as long as I'm not having to pay for it, they
Yeah.
want to do funny stuff, that's fine. Because eventually the bubble will burst. These companies, like this year, is going to be the telling year for Hollywood because there's nothing coming out in the cinemas of
Oh, I
real.
sent you that list, didn't I?
Yeah, that's right. And there's nothing really.
Nothing there, that even hits you.
Why the hell are making Gladiator 2? Like, what the hell is that?
And I don't think that Denzel Washington is as brilliant an actor as he is, but he's just not Gladiator material.
No, and he's a wee bit past it. Like, even the latest Equalizer one, he looks worn out.
Oh yeah, he's approaching 70, isn't he?
Yeah. But once again, there's no quality, there's no caliber of actors. So the old guard, it's the same as tradespeople.
Yeah.
The country is relying on people over 50 to keep the water going, the electricity, carpentry, because there's no tradespeople. Because everyone needs a degree in social media studies or gender studies now. So that's more important than having people that can actually build houses.
Yeah.
So there's a
dad used to say, he to be a painter and decorator, he had to do it for 3 years and learn how to paint properly and and things like that. These days, you just get them off the street, don't you? You just advertise, trade, chippy needed or whatever, and you get some guy who's learned to use a hammer and a nail in 5 minutes.
And you don't get the quality of work.
No.
But that's the general degradation of movies is just another example. I see movies and media as a lens through which society currently is. We can look back at the 70s, we can look back at the 80s, we can look back at the 50s. You can kind of see the era through a lot of the media that's produced.
Yeah.
Today is not looking good for society because that's basically the mirrors shine up the society today, and it's not good.
It's all, and I hate it, CGI. I know we've got computers and we can use that side of it, but that's a lack of creation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they, use something like, when Star Wars was first produced with, there was 4 guys stood on the each side of the X-Wing fighter shaking it while, to make it look as though it had been hit by a missile. And they used a table tennis table with a model of the Death Star on, and they were there chucking bloody fire bombs at it, and these days it's all CGI, and I hate computer generated bloody.
It looks cheap. There's Cameron and I. We talked yesterday. We did Ernest Scared Stupid. Now this is a kids movie from 30 years ago.
Yeah,
and it looks brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, the animatronics on the trolls is bloody marvelous. Like the facial features, everything, and in fact, to have somebody wearing that and running it and being physical with that suit. I mean, it looked Trantor, the main troll, and that was brilliant. The way it was done.
Yeah.
It actually blows out of the water. Anything that's being produced today, that costume, that creature that was made, looks 100 times better than anything that's being created today.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show, even going back to this is, in the scheme of things, it's a cheap movie, compared to picking the budget.
Yeah.
And it still looks good.
Oh, it's
you can pick up a few bits, obviously. It'll look a bit cheesy, but all in all, the aesthetic, the look of this, it looks like an actual production, like people have put some care into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we'll start off, like, this is the whole thing with, we got back there, folks. Check that out.
Hey. The first half hour.
Yeah. For flip's sake, that's what happens when you have a week's break. We haven't talked to each other properly. It's like, blah! But yeah, we'll have Inspector Holloway. He's arrived in this sort of sleepy town.
Yeah.
Because a movie stars went missing. And this is what those two movies we talked about missed completely. Here's a bit of exposition. Here's a through line plot to go into each of the anthology stories. So you have something tying them all together.
Yeah. And then the estate agent says, "Well, it's not only that one, mate.
Yeah. Here's my file.
We got a few more. Hey."
And Holloway's all like, "Oh, this is all balderdash. Why are you wasting my time? Just get to the point." It's like, nah, you need to kind of get the history of the house.
Yeah. But the estate agent in the beginning turns up in an old Ford Cortina, doesn't he? And but what they don't realize is at the end, when the police officer goes back to the house, he uses the same Ford Cortina. So it belongs to the estate agent, but the copper drives it as well.
Just a way to save money.
Good old 70s films, isn't it? They're lovely.
Yeah, well, that's it. Just they didn't see that as that wasn't an important thing at the end of the day. The way they looked at it.
They're just hoping there wasn't someone like me who likes to pick movies, watch it.
Yeah, but at the same time, if we're picking a movie like 40 years later, the movie's done its job.
Yeah.
When you're looking back in the movie and going, well, yeah, found that bit, but however, I'm still watching it and enjoying it. The movie has more than done its job. If you can make something that people are still going to want to spend the time discussing 40, 30, 40, 50 years later, you've won.
Yeah.
Most of the movies today, you've forgotten before you even leave the cinema. Like, you've not even walked out of the auditorium and you've forgotten what you've watched.
Yeah. But you think this film is 52 years old, but it could still be sort of brought out today if only they would do it in the same way without all the, again, CGI. You know, if they use the old techniques, this is the sort of film you could watch. A bit like the Christopher Lee Dracula ones. You can watch over and over and over again.
CGI can be used as a wee bit of a gloss over. So hide the wires, for example, that's where CGI comes in useful.
Hide the wires.
Yeah.
But
you know what I mean?
We'll come to that in a minute.
Yeah, but just doing things like that there, that's what CGI is useful for. Have the practical effects and then use the CGI just to tidy up.
Yeah.
And you get an absolutely fantastic film. Dale and I obviously been going through Peter Jackson's anthology, and we're back to that again next week. But even we're seeing that he's used majority practical effects, and the CGI is just a wee bit of a tack on.
Yeah.
And it looks brilliant. You know, you see his stuff from the earliest right up to now, and one thing you can't say is they look bad because he's used both a practical effect base and just a CGI to tidy things up or do things that just would be impossible to do.
Yeah.
That's all you need. It's just having a wee bit of cleverness.
Yeah. But the first one,
Method for Murder is the first story we'll go into.
She was very clever because being a writer, you know, he was seeing this character that he was writing about, his main protagonist in his book. So being a writer, I do that. I get into character.
Yeah, didn't you see Martin?
Yeah.
You were talking when you've been talking about when you were putting Stalker together. You were legit seeing Martin going about the place.
Yeah, I wanted to go around and stalk someone.
Yeah, you wanted to go around somebody's bedroom window just to get in the character. Sorry, officer, I'm researching for a book.
I did try it with that MP, but hello. No, you get really into character, and you know the latest one, you know it's just one of those things you get into thinking why they're doing it, and what would they do next, you know, and you've got to have why am I doing this? If I'm killing someone, why am I doing? Why am I? Is there a background, or am I just going around killing people? You know, it can be quite worrying, really. But the skill is distancing yourself after you finish writing.
You mean discerning between fantasy and reality?
Yeah, and because you can, if I'm writing like today. You know, I had a slight change in the storyline today, and I was thinking a bit like the killer who's receiving help from another source. I won't go into it too deep. It's top secret, this book. But I was actually thinking,
you may get a move on because you've got like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
Or you said it was due out.
Well, I know, but yeah, it could be a bit of a delay. Not much, but it's in like this guy. He was, I know it was a setup, but he was seeing this Dominic character, and from a point of view of a writer, I could see why he was seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was very cleverly done, this one. But I know it was all a setup with his wife, but she paid the price as well, didn't she?
Yeah,
but
that was
again that was perfect, because the guy was an actor, and he actually thought at the end he was
a method,
Dominic.
a method actor.
Yeah.
It's easy to say now, but that wasn't really a thing back then. When did method actors start appearing? Was that a phenomenon of the 90s?
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm a method actor. I must inhabit the part.
Yeah.
Who was it? Because it's always the Americans start that nonsense, and then it's God. Who was it? Made fun of was it Ian McKellen made fun of someone?
I don't know.
They were going, I must live in the streets for a week to pretend to be this homeless person, and it was something like Ian McKellen went, dear boy, it's just pretend.
Yeah.
It seems to be an American thing where they can't discern fancy from reality, where I think we as British folk have a bit more of a, I don't know.
They started doing things like, if you take Tom Hanks, he lost absolutely stones in weight, didn't he, to play Philadelphia? But he had to do it in order, because he started off quite healthy looking.
Mm-hmm.
By the end, he had to be an AIDS sufferer.
Yeah.
So he was losing weight throughout filming. And it's that sort of sometimes the method acting.
Christian Bale is known for that as well. He like when he played when he's in The Machinist, he lost absolutely tons of weight, and then he went from that to being Batman.
Yeah.
So he went from like super skinny to and then he went too much the other direction. He had to like lose and trim down to start. To a point, as long as you're not damaging your health overall, I can get the whole idea of having to look the part, adjusting your physicality as a physical role. But this whole idea of I must inhabit this character and can't pretend, flick a switch and pretend for the scene and then come back to reality. I think this is where, and that's why we're seeing such bad characters today, because everything's a self-insert. Even writers, they're not going, okay, what am I going to be like to be this character? It's what's this character like me? How do I insert myself into the story? And you're seeing it across the board, and comic books, you name it, and just terrible. It's just not a good experience.
If you look at the method acting as well, the speech is in the 70s. If they made a German film, they didn't need a bloke to put on a German accent. They spoke English, didn't they?
Yeah.
But now they have to. The English actor or American actor has to put on the full German accent
while speaking in English.
While speaking in English. It's some people must like to see it. That's all. Some people must demand the realism.
I'm going to be talking about this with Chris tomorrow with one of the characters in the movie we're reviewing. Tremors 29. No, sorry, 7. But there's a particular character there, and it's a rehash of another one they've done previously, and it's playing into every stereotype you can imagine. But we get accused that the audience get accused of stereotyping people, but it's the creators that are doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, folks, tune in for that tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting conversation to jump around because it's.
But yeah, Denholm Elliott was good. He was sort of perfect example of an author, really. I think. But in his wife sort of. I thought the story of trying to make him seem that he was going mad worked quite well because she was playing a dotting wife.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So brilliant, and she didn't let on that she was in the audience. If it was your first time of watching it, you wouldn't have known that she was part of the. You wouldn't have even known that it was a setup. You just thought that he was seeing this bloody bloke from his book.
Yeah, so the whole point is they rent this house out. It's a stately country mansion next to a village, and he's like, right, I need somewhere to unplug for 6 months to finish this book because when I'm in the city and I've got the distractions, and I get it too because this takes over everything. So I try to sit down and do something else. It's difficult because I've always got this. All right, gotta edit that video, gotta put something else out, gotta make a post, gotta schedule stuff, and that noise. So to hone in the creation, you need to like unplug from everything else for a bit. So I get that idea of moving to a country home, away from London, away from editors and people calling around, that you're just isolated. I said this was almost like The Shining. It was like a stripped down version of The Shining.
Yeah.
Like this guy's almost playing like a Jack Torrance type character, and
and the poor guy starts seeing this character that he's drawn, but
starting to appear, and then the bit where
the
bit that had me a bit suspicious is when it was in the kitchen. He was in the living room and he had sort of dozed off in the armchair.
Yeah.
And he heard a scream. And then his wife went, "You strangled me. You come up from behind me." And he legit ran into the room. So there's no way. If he had been standing there in front of her and she was screaming at him, I would get it. And it would have played in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That was the sort of first aspect when you thought, something dodgy going on.
And she went, you strangled me. You come up from behind me. But he legit ran into the room from the. So you're like, that's not right. And I thought initially that was just bad writing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought, oh, right, they fluffed up there because no way would she accuse him when she knows. Now, what was the one we watched where they were in bed together? Oh, God, the one with the thing in his left hand. It was the From Beyond the Grave.
Yeah.
The one with the wee demons on his left-hand shoulder.
Oh, right, yeah.
And she wakes up in bed and says, "You strangled me." That I believed.
Yeah.
Because it could have happened, him in his sleep, even though it was the demon that was doing it.
Yeah.
You could see that play out, that he might think it was him. But there was no way that he went from the living room to sneak up behind her to strangle her, to run back into the living room to pretend to sleep, to run back in, and it just didn't add up.
No. But then, can't you see him? He's in the chair. There's no one there. Oh, he's over there in the corner. There's no one there. And the thing of trying to make him seem as though he was losing the plot a bit was well played, really.
Yeah, I mean, that got revealed.
Yeah. But then Dominic had lost the plot as well and strangled her, didn't he?
Yeah. But this is, I think these were like Tales from the Crypt early episodes. I think this whole series has been inspired. I couldn't find a word there. God, what is going on with me? I've had too much time off.
Yeah.
I've forgotten how to speak. But yeah, these have been inspired by these short comics, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a condensed story. It's tied up quickly. So yeah, Dominic then losing his mind and becoming, the killer for real. And he had to go at him. What do you mean you killed him too? We're meant to be setting him up.
Yeah.
And just showed how he is.
Nope, made a mistake.
Which then makes sense at the end of this when we find, because oh my God, what do you call him? the real estate agent?
Uh,
Stoker.
yeah, Stoker.
Stoker's dropping the hints all the way through this. Yeah, have you not
Yeah.
figured out the secret of the house yet?
Yeah,
And you're getting primed to, oh, there's a reason this is happening.
yeah.
And
He tells you at the very end, doesn't he?
yeah, which will
It's a
obviously we'll get to the end of it.
typical Amicus ending, which
Yeah.
we'll come to, but was the narrative from one of the characters, wasn't it? Like we had Peter Cushing in From Beyond the Grave, and
Dr. Starr.
Dr. Starr.
Yeah. And that's what works with these type of anthology movies. You need that, and it's the same as people that put together anthology books. You need that through line. You need something to tie all the stories together. I think that's why people generally don't like anthology series, because it just seems like a whole lot of stories bumped in, and it doesn't go through a theme. That's why people prefer novels.
This one does. This.
Yeah, because you feel like you're part of one story.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Dominic's storyline was very good, I thought.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
It was a good opener, because as we know, if you start watching the film and you start falling asleep in the first 10 minutes, then you just turn it off, don't you?
You're not invested. So it's a good start, and it's not a unique story.
No,
you know what I mean, that's a point I've tried to make, is it doesn't have to be. I get myself wound up about making a unique story, but there's nothing wrong with telling tales of old, or it's how you frame it and how you make it fresh. So the story of a writer losing their mind, like I said, we've seen it in The Shining, we've seen entities. That's been done loads of times, or people imagining something that's not there.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it's either there or it's not, or it's a plot. It's all been done before, but it's how you present it and make it interesting. And this worked.
Yeah.
And you feel sympathy.
Yeah.
For their protagonist in this, because he's purely innocent.
Yeah. Yeah, the poor guy.
He's done nothing wrong. Yeah. And even talking to his wife, he's like, I know, I'm sorry for dragging you up here, but I need to get this finished.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't want to separate from you for 6 months, which I suppose it's right. There you go. There's how you know you've got a good story, because you're asking questions about it.
Yeah.
You're asking what if this, what if that. And it's only a short piece. But if it's got you asking questions, it's a good story. You're invested.
At one point where Dominic was there, I thought, doesn't he look like the Wolfman? With his hairpiece and his teeth like that, and the way he looked, I thought, oh, he looks exactly like.
I was thinking Mr. Hyde.
Yeah,
the way he'd drawn him.
Not the Oliver Reed Wolfman, the sort of 30s, 40s Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr. I thought, oh, that's a replica of the Wolfman there. But in his look, when his eyes went up like this, and he had that sort of smile that, like, you thought, oh my god. Crazy.
But then we'll go back to because obviously Holloway and Stoker are serving as the interlude, or not the sergeant. We'll start off with the sergeant. Sorry.
Yeah.
And Holloway, he's like, poppycock, balderdash. What? Maynard Quinlan, like, no, sir. Here's some more, and he's
I've got a whole file of them.
Yeah.
And he brings out this little file with about that much in, doesn't he?
Well, there are two files. He's one for the actor that's not missing, and then he's got the big one that he's collected over the years.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into Waxworks.
Yeah. And the guy who played Dominic in the first one was actually in the second sketch as well. He was at the very end, you saw a guy walking into and saw Peter Cushing's head. He was actually that guy there.
Yeah, well, that's once again, why not? You've hired an actor for this production. Why wouldn't you utilize them all?
Called Tom Adams. He was that one. I thought, oh, he's in that sketch. I wonder if he's in the next one. But yeah,
yeah. But you see, obviously, Peter Cushing rides in. You're like, oh, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Peter Cushing just needs to just turn up and speak, and that's it. You're invested.
But wasn't it a shock that Peter Cushing was one of the victims?
Yeah.
And the same with Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee was a victim, and you just don't expect it. You think, no, they're the ones who kill you, or the one who saves you getting killed. You know, in Peter Cushing.
The only thing I was disappointed with this is that those two were not in the scene together.
Yeah, that is
like that was all I had to do was have those two in a scene together, and I wouldn't care what else was in this. I was sold. Just a shame, but still, the fact that they're those two were great friends.
Yeah,
and it's obvious one's rung the other. In fact, I'd say Peter's would have rung Christopher because he's got a history with this.
Yeah.
Franchise. I was said, do you want to take part in this? Can imagine a phone call happening.
Yeah.
But it's interesting seeing Peter Cushing because he plays just such a variety of roles. But here he is. He's got he's the aristocrat. He's got the cravat, the smoking jacket. He's made his millions, so to speak, and he's just looking to retire now and relax.
Yeah. And then he openly says, oh, I'm bored. Goes to this horror museum, doesn't he? And
which is a bit of a random thing to have in the middle of a village.
Yeah,
that nobody really goes to.
Yeah, but I suppose it. Yeah. And you got the. You had to ask yourself: was it free to go in? Because his mate didn't pay anything, but if you remember when Peter Cushing first went in, he put something on the.
Yeah, normally there's a.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of. It's not opened as a business. We find out that obviously the owner's not quite right in the head.
Yeah, he wants to chop everybody's head off, doesn't he?
Yeah.
If you look at his ex-missus.
Yeah, that.
If you think of it, that waxwork, it wasn't the most beautiful woman in the world, was it? Why would you fall in love with it?
But then again, this is back down to the unreliable narrator, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's because he thinks it's the most beautiful person. But then again, my question was, because obviously Peter Cushing character goes in, he sees this. And it's just funny the way that it's behind curtains and he's allowed to go and pull the curtains to open it.
Yeah.
Like, you'd normally get in trouble if you did that sort of thing.
Yeah. But he thinks it's a sort of replica of the photo that he's got, and you think, it's nothing bloody like her.
Yeah, but then isn't that where the magic comes in? It's not supposed to be the supernatural aspect, that it's imposing her visage,
Yeah.
And then when the owner arrives, he goes, yeah, that happens to many people. They find themselves fascinated.
Yeah.
So it's a supernatural, it's a trick being played.
Yeah.
They're seeing what they want to see. So it's a depiction of Salome, obviously, and I suppose the platter's supposed to be John the Baptist's head, just iterations of. It's a replication of that, and he says he got her, he got permission, or he got her body to, make a wax seal, or
Yeah.
I'll get your money back, mate, if you pay for that. But was it meant to look horrible? Is that the point? Was it meant to look that you're at a surface glance, you're meant to go no, and then it's as you devolve into the mania? Is that meant to be the trick?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Because I think there's a wee bit more. I know it's only a simple anthology series. It's not like super deep or anything, but I actually think that was the trick, that it's not meant to be an attractive head. But it's the supernatural aspect that draws you to it, almost her spirit, willing you on.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a glamour as opposed to the actual depiction.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just sort of falling in love with something that you see, isn't it?
But what it didn't get was the arrival of Neville. and bringing that aspect into it, because it seemed very odd.
Yeah,
because this could have been played out just with Peter
he
Cushing going
couldn't
back and
leave,
back.
could he? Because he went to see it, and then he went to see it again, and then he says, "Oh, I've booked into this hotel."
Yeah, I genuinely thought those two were in a relationship.
He didn't actually say which hotel, so you had to imagine that there was only one hotel.
Yeah, but Peter Cushing said it. He said, "Oh, such and such on the street. There was the guest house. That was it."
Yeah.
But I thought those two were in a relationship. See the way they were like
loving
dancing around each other. Yeah, I genuinely thought that's what it was. I thought those two were like an illicit relationship, and that was their deep dark secret. Honestly, because the way they were playing it, there was that bit of there was a bit of sexual tension there.
Yeah,
and I thought that was what was going to come out of it.
Because when he arrived, didn't it? He went friends, and you think, right, friends. Does it mean that they've split up and they just want to be friends now?
Yeah, there's something definitely more. I actually think it was, like I said, I don't think Neville's character added anything to the storyline.
No,
I genuinely don't, because this could have been played out easily with just Peter Cushing come back to the Wax Museum a couple of times, considering how long it is. It's not it's. I've just seen that being played out better. But the fact that those two loved, were rivals over the same woman who passed away, that didn't add anything either.
No.
It was actually a bit of a distraction from the main plot. The fact that just by chance, Peter Cushing's character went into this waxwork and then he got mesmerized by this spectral personification of his ex-wife, the owner's ex-wife. That was enough of a hook for me.
Yeah.
It seemed like they added all this extra stuff as filler, which I don't really understand.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Don't know. Yeah. I can see your point, but it's probably a bit like that one where we said that if Peter Cushing was the crypt taker, wasn't it? The crypt master. Yeah, they could have. I suppose they could have just done it with Peter Cushing, and he could have gone in there and then gone home and thought, I really need to go back. I need.
Or maybe tried to steal the mannequin.
Yeah.
That would have been enough reason for him to get his
chop his head off.
Head lopped off. But it was strange that Neville got his head lopped off first.
Yeah.
And then when Peter Cushing went back, it was there, but then he gets his head lopped off afterwards, and then 10 seconds later, it's like a revolving tray.
He done away with Neville's head, didn't he? Neville's head just went out the window.
Where I thought, if this guy is a serial killer and he's, ritualistic murders, each head on the platter would be reverent. It'd be revered, it would have importance, not just discarded. Oh, I need a new one.
Yeah. How often does he need a new one?
Yeah. That would be an interesting wee thing to play with. But once again, I don't think we're meant to think too deeply into these.
No.
I think we may be, I know I am maybe overthinking
and think this is good.
Yeah, this is fun. Okay.
Yeah.
But the porcelain mannequins got me.
Yeah.
It's a waxworks, but they're all made of porcelain.
Yeah.
Like when hit some of the crowbar smash.
At the end, when he's fighting with the guy with the axe in it, and he misses, and the axe is through the porcelain head, you think, well, yeah, it's a waxworks.
Yeah, not very waxy. That would have probably cost a lot of money, though.
Well, yeah, it's his big bucks, and you think how much Madame Tussauds quotes.
God, I used to, when I worked for the last job there, I was passed by that and see the queue.
Yeah.
Right round the corner. God, it's part of the reason why.
It's not cheap to get in either.
No, it's about 20 odd quid at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I can't remember the name of the bloody street it's on. It's near King's Cross.
I think you'll find it's more like 38 quid, something like that.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I think the last time I went in there, we paid about 38 quid each.
Oh, but the queue for that every day, even off, there's no real off season with it. It doesn't matter the weather. Is right around every day, right around the corner. People queuing up to go in there.
They got one in Blackpool as well. Madame Tussauds.
Well, it's the same as the Tate Gallery, isn't it? It's a brand,
Yeah.
You've obviously got the main one in London, and then you've got the one in Liverpool.
Yeah.
But yeah, It would have cost. I would have eaten into the budget. The budget would have doubled just to get the wax figures. So I can understand them taking a few mannequins and painting them, but fair enough, for what this is. But it's just funny,
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
he just he chopped his head off, and then that guy who played Dominic in the first one went in and pulled the curtain back and saw Peter Cushing's head. So,
which the poster for this series is a bit misleading.
Yeah,
the movie poster shows Christopher Lee's head on the platter.
Does it?
Yeah. If you look it up, The House of Drip Blood, you'll see Christopher Lee's head on the platter. Bit of a sneak. I see, even back then, marketing departments were a bit on the sneaky side.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot to mention that the series was they were written by the Psycho
Robert Bloch, yeah.
Robert Bloch again. So he must have been doing something right to get the.
He must have been involved at the start and then parted ways when it went a bit silly.
Yeah.
In fact, you can see we saw the two that happened when Robert Bloch parted ways.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't. They sort of took a dip and
it just went hit the ground.
Yeah. He was probably charging too much to write.
Yeah, probably negotiation getting ridiculous, and that's and this is where studios somebody always sticks their arm in. They have a good thing going, somebody messes it up, and it's due to money or ego or both.
It's like everywhere, because when I used to entertain in the pubs and clubs, one of the clubs I used to play in, I wasn't cheap. I was one of the more expensive entertainers on the circuit in Plymouth, and but the guy comes up to me. He says, "Oh, the steward behind the bar." He says, "Oh, we can tell you were here tonight." I says, "Oh, why?" He says, "Oh, takings was like up way high." I says, "Oh, right." He says, "Normally," he says, "the entertainment secretary gets someone in for like 60 to 80 quid." He says, "and everyone goes home." He says, "So our bar takings dive, But it's the same with things like script writing. I think you've got to speculate to accumulate. It's no good getting Joe Bloggs off the street, who's never ever put pen to paper or who hasn't got an imaginative mind. When you can get someone like Robert Bloch, who obviously written some cracking stories that you think are Psycho. If they weren't willing to pay his fee, then unless they get someone of equal, stature, then, you're going to dive, aren't you? Which probably happened with their next films.
Well, at the end of the day, the company closed.
Yeah.
We'll have to remember this. This company ended up closing. So something went wrong.
Yeah.
And we can actually almost see it play out here. Now, we haven't looked at Amicus Films. I don't know how many there are, but obviously they did stand. These are the anthology series. But we haven't looked, what were the Amicus Films like? Obviously, this studio was in.
Yeah. I'll have to watch one day and let you know.
Yeah, we'll have a look. But yeah, that was cool. And then we'll go back, obviously, to the sergeant and the inspector, and carrying on. And he's
still not believing anything, is he?
We know it's going to be. We know
it's not the house.
Holloway is. We know what he's a plot device.
Yeah.
So we know what we're going to get with him. He's going to be a disbeliever, and then he's going to see it firsthand. That's where the story's going. If anyone's watched a horror movie or any of these sort of stories, we know where that's going anyway. So
yeah,
the sergeant isn't going to convince him. But it's just it's a storytelling device, and it works. This couldn't be real, and it's almost telling the audience, yeah, this couldn't be real. Obviously, madness, but it all works.
Yeah.
But then we'll go on to the next one, Sweets for the Sweet.
Christopher Lee is just Christopher Lee, and he just demands, just by him being he demands like the horror, doesn't
And
it?
it's funny because he almost has the same entrance as Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
The same type of entrance, just walks in, and
You think,
I think of a stage,
it's
when
God.
those
It's God.
when those two walk on, I think of it as they walk on like stage actors
Yeah.
onto the set.
They both are, aren't they? Or
Yeah.
were. Yeah, they were sort of, I mean, Christopher Lee, didn't he do like Shakespeare and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. They all come from the Royal London Theatre.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, they're classical actors at the end of the day. They just happen to do movies.
And you can tell that in their speech as well. Because Christopher Lee is just so well spoken. So is Peter Cushing, really. But you can tell that you think.
What I get from the two of them, what's amazing is even in them talking in later life, they're so humble.
Yeah.
And they're so, you can't, and they even give them warnings. They were given warnings in the 2000s to the younger actors coming up. Don't look for fame and fortune.
No.
You have a shelf life in this game. If you get over a certain age, you are done. So have a backup plan. He was even telling them this.
Yeah.
Like Christopher Lee gives a whole, interview about warning the younger actors. Don't go into this for fame and fortune. You're only here for a limited time. Most times you're on TV because you're young and pretty, and that's what they want. Yeah. And he's saying this. And he even says it's fortunate that I have what I have, but I'm the exception to the rule. I'm not the rule.
No.
And he gives that grounding of reality, even at that, where you look at a lot of Hollywood and they're so up their own backsides. They have one success now and they're up their own backside and they're insufferable. And then they actually destroy themselves because they become so unlikable that you can't even separate the art from the artist. You can't go on the screen and see them and go, oh God, that's arsehole. He's called me a estaphobe last week. Yeah, I'm not going to watch their movie. They're just so insufferable now. But right up until the end.
So like I told you about M. Night Shyamalan.
Jenny Bum, yeah.
And when he done The Sixth Sense, and he went on and he was there saying, I've had the biggest, highest grossing horror film this year and all this crap. And then suddenly his next one dives. Where are you now then?
Yeah. It's the same as George R.R. Martin. He's another one. You hear him speaking for 5 minutes and you realize he's an utter arsehole.
Yeah.
And that was the worst thing he ever did, was give interviews, because then you're like, I don't want to watch anything you do.
Yeah.
You're absolute tit. Yeah, it's not hard to be. Here's the thing, though. I'm no charisma god, but it's not hard to be personable with folk.
No.
It's not hard just to be an approachable person that somebody can talk to.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why these so-called experts or high-level artists can't seem to forget that part. But that's one thing, back to this, that both Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, they kept that humbleness, they kept that approachability, that there were people you would want to sit down and have a coffee with.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes. They're people who genuinely just want, not gush over or, oh, I love your stuff. There's people you maybe want to just have a chat with and then pass the time of day and go on,
I don't know about Peter Cushing, but I saw something on Christopher Lee, how he, when he was on his way into one of these, show previews, when they open a film up, and his bodyguards were trying to rush him through, and he was going, no, I want to speak to these people here, these fans, sort of, I know I'm going to meet the Queen inside or something, or Prince Charles inside, but these are the people that's paid my way, sort of thing. And he was there talking to all the fans on the way in. I think it was it one of the? It might have been Lord of the Rings. The one that he was in.
Can't
remember.
He's in them all. He's in the
yeah. But he stopped. He was one of those that actually stopped, spoke to the fans.
Never forgot how he got there. And thing is, he wasn't like Christopher Lee, for example. He was special forces. he was not someone to mess with.
No.
He's a lieutenant in the RAF, but he got attached to all this sneaky beaky stuff in World War II, and he's part of SIS, the basically one of the precursors for MI5.
Yeah.
And he's just working. He was there with the Commandos when they were formed. He's there with David Sterling. He was right there with and taking part in these clandestine operations. He was not someone.
No.
He was somebody of note, even without getting the acting. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he kept that humbleness about him, and that's how you know. Like, there's nobody like that anymore. It's hard to see people like that. They're maybe kind of on one hand.
These days, actors are so full up their own bloody
Yeah,
hooters.
but then the art is suffering because of it.
Yeah.
We see the actual degeneration of films today. They're not enjoyable experiences. You don't want to support the actors. You don't want to support the directors. You don't want it to continue. You're just like, would you ever hurry up and die already so something can replace you?
Yeah.
And I'm one of the people that says it out loud, but there's a lot of people mutter quietly. They feel the same way. And the box office, how many bombs have there been?
Yeah.
This year's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Is that
there's Oliver.
I told you about that film.
Even Oliver, good to have you on board, man.
Remember I mentioned The Russian Bride to you?
Yes.
Yeah. That one only took £5,500 at the box office, it appears. 5,500. It must have cost more than that to write the poster,
God. But if you split that up, because it was one of the Cloaks and Capes movies, the superhero ones, did the same, and it worked out that each cinema that had it going was less than £100 each they earned.
Yeah.
The opening, it was just the opening so many cinemas, and then if you divide that up evenly,
yeah,
it was like 3 people turned up to each screening.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that is dismal. But that's, once again, you can just see there's a reason this is happening. It's not just the stuff being presented, but it's the attitude to go into creativity. You have to have the right attitude or else you're stuffed. It's the same as us doing this. We'll have to do it with the right attitude. We're here to genuinely just talk about stuff.
Yeah.
It's not here to be famous or gather fortune or to wind people up or, that is very obvious if that's the attitude you come in, and it translates into what's on screen or what's on paper. Or look at all the look at a lot of the indie scene. Look at the ones that jump on bandwagons and are pumping out books every 2 months, and it's on whatever is the current trending thing.
You shouldn't be saying that. I've been selling my autographs, saying I'm on podcasts.
Here,
only to Co.
He's like, that's he's giving you your allowance for the week. All right,
and Oreo the staffy, she's bought one as well.
Well, she's got more followers than me.
Yes.
And you know what? I don't begrudge her a bit of it because I probably watched it. Like,
oh God.
I love it when you show the videos are playing with the Stones. I know you've talked about it on social media, but when you actually see her like get into the river and picking the biggest bloody rock you can imagine, like a toy, you're like, what are you doing, dog? And they're sticking her face on her, going, the bubbles coming up, but she's picking the
stone is bigger than her face. It's yeah, she's nutty about him. And if another dog tries to take it off her, it's instant death. It's yeah, God. It's like that Jeff Dunham character, the ventriloquist where he goes, I kill you. Yeah. Ahmed, the terrorist. I don't know if you've seen it. It's really funny.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh God, I remember. Yeah, that's why I go.
Yeah. But no, she's
but that's it. But back to this here. Christopher Lee he's there, he just has that presence about him. And that's cool because we'll see a parody of this, and you can tell these people aren't like that because they do a parody of it later on. But yeah, Christopher Lee walks in.
It's probably as well a lot about you said it made $1 million at the box office, didn't you?
Yeah, it was only made for $200,000 and made $1 million. Yeah. So there you go.
But it's probably people thought, Christopher Lee's in this one or Peter Cushing's in this one. We've got to go and see it. So it's a bit of a draw as well because he's had so much. He just demands the sort of presence, doesn't he? Because he's God, and people think, he was in this film, he was good in that. He was in this film, he was good in that. And hey, Peter Cushing's in this one as well. So they had twice the draw, really.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it worked because they didn't try to.
There aren't many that can demand the respect that those.
No,
two.
and this is what it is. It's not stardom. It's genuine respect of.
Yeah.
Here's an exceptional human being or a pair of human beings that just an absolute pleasure to watch. And from all intents and purposes, I don't think I've ever heard anything negative about them, like diva actions. Don't the basically are who they are, and any respect them is genuine, and that's.
Yeah.
But he plays a restrained character in this one.
Yeah, he's been sort of the puppet to his daughter, really, isn't he?
Yeah, and I would say he hasn't played, but he played Frankenstein, where Peter Cushing basically treated him like a dog. So he's not afraid to abase himself on screen.
No.
So that's once again that shows lack of ego and just a willingness to ply the craft.
Yeah, but I think she nicked the candles, didn't she?
Yeah,
but the doll that was made was so well made, wasn't it? So well formed and everything.
This is I'm still not too sure how I feel about this story. Bit of a confusing one the way it was told. I get the premise of it, but the delivery is a bit. I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about it. If that makes sense.
He wouldn't let her have toys because. I mean,
he wouldn't let her have. I think it was dolls. He's terrified of her dolls because obviously she's going to make effigies.
She was reading witchcraft books, wasn't she? So
get up the encyclopedias and once again, why didn't he just remove the W section from the? I know, but it wasn't his. That's right. They're renting it. The books, the library comes with it, so he couldn't. That works. Sorry, that was me just tripping myself up.
But she was afraid of fire until the teacher come nanny.
Yeah, Mrs. Norton. Yeah,
said,
was
the fire is quite beautiful.
Yeah, was that a bit of a hearkening? Because the idea is that she's a witch, or the reincarnation of a witch. Was that due to witches being afraid of fire or burnings, or was that sort of allegory being played here?
Yeah, I didn't think of it like that. It could have been quite a plan, couldn't it, on that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this was 1970s. Witchcraft was still illegal until 1952.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a time. I know it couldn't really. I know it's kind of timeless. I haven't really set this in a particular era.
That's why my ex-mother-in-law is still alive then. After 1952.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the whole thing that we're bringing this. That she almost like she was possessed or a reincarnation. We didn't get the full story. What happened to your mother?
No, which I thought was a bit. I mean, did she do the same thing to her mother? We don't know. Did she? Is that why she was afraid of fire? Did her mother burn, or
was it her mother that
was her
reincarnated the daughter?
Or yeah.
I think that's the bit that's getting me about this. We don't get it explained.
Yeah.
We don't get the actual reveal.
But it gets your imagination working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once again, you're asking questions, aren't you? 50 years later.
The bit that you wanted to see was Christopher Lee being stabbed on it,
That was brilliant. Was here, and it's a creepy child because she's super polite, she's super intelligent. She's all her lessons finished, like straight away. The scene where he throws the doll, Mrs. Norton, I want to buy her some toys, like not out of her own money, like not even like I want you to buy her some toys or I'll pick them.
Yeah.
And it was more it was a strange relationship.
I mean, the kid was that intelligent that she knew that she had to take bits of him to put in the doll, so
Mhm.
the voodoo aspect would be there. And she emptied his shaver, didn't she?
Yeah.
And yeah. But, no, I mean, I
Which is
enjoy.
actually true. That's one of the basics of witchcraft is that,
Yeah,
guard your clippings and, so, make sure they're burned or destroyed because a witch can use them. That's proper folklore, which is clever.
yeah. What would they do with me and you then to try and get hair?
Oh, that's
Sticking-
gross. I wouldn't want her.
we're never going to be targeted by witchcraft. See,
Yeah, I'm
all the good things.
safe in that respect.
But no, it's
It
and I
happens.
thought the last bit was well. Don't throw him into the fire. Give me the doll. Give me the doll. And the kid just, she had that evil smile, and she
Yeah.
just.
But we didn't get we got hinted at, but we didn't get the real. Was she pure evil, or was she getting revenge? It was
Revenge
sort
for
of
not
hinted
being
at
allowed
both.
toys. You don't know, do you?
Yeah, you don't. You're kind of left
Well,
wondering.
there must have been a reason why A, she hated fire to start, and
Hmm.
B, why she wasn't allowed toys. Now, was
Or to
it?
be around other children.
Yeah, was it because she was evil? In that toys she manipulated, in this way. But then she took the candles and made a doll.
Do you know what was funny? Actually, that scene with the doll. I don't know if you picked up on that mistake.
Which one?
So Mrs. Norton holds up the doll, and it's
Right.
got the cellophane, and it's got all the cable ties,
Yeah.
and then she just reaches and picks it out.
Right.
Did I
No,
get one and you didn't?
you got one that I didn't see.
Go
Oh, I
2024.
watched it 3 times as
1
well.
point to Colin. So we're now sitting about 79-1 or something points for freaking mistake. Did you not? Did I actually get one on?
You got one on me there.
Yes, I win. I win forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has it all. It's still in the box, and then she just reaches forward and just lifts it straight out. I'm like,
Yeah.
surely did Steve get distracted by? I'm like, did Steve get distracted by the wires? Is that what made him miss that bit?
Yeah. I was just like, I thought, oh, this is a lovely film when something like wires are in it.
Yeah, there you go. It's I thought that was clever. I just it's obviously a cutscene and they're just reaching in. They've done it all.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's just a fascinating one. You have more questions than answered about the story, but still, Christopher Lee just basically getting the base. Now the scene where he slaps the wee girl in the face, that was
that was very sort of what do
now
they
you can
call
see
it?
that all he's done is that, and it's been sped up
Yeah.
by the camera. You can see that all he's done is brush her across.
Yeah.
And it's been sped up, but still to act that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's a big man.
These days he'd be taking social services and put in prison.
Yeah.
But no. I mean, he's a class actor, and he knows how to slap without actually slapping. But
yeah, I think it was just done in slow motion, and then it got sped up with the camera. You can sort of see that sort of jar, because obviously it's film reel, it's not digital.
Yeah.
So the fact that you could see that it's not being done anywhere remotely, but you actually see no way that would normally be done off camera.
Yeah.
But the fact they attempted here to show that like full on screen.
But the kid done well to accept it as well, because she accepted the slap, making it look as though she was fully slapped. And it's quite a good little actress, really.
Yeah.
And, I did like her psychotic smile at the.
Oh yeah, she.
She
was a demon child without doubt.
Yeah, she played the part very well.
But yeah, that was a fun one. And then, is this where
this is the comedy?
Holloway. Is this where Holloway goes to Stoker? It is, isn't it?
He goes where?
He goes to Stoker. He leaves the sergeant's office now, and he goes to Stoker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I would see him traveling to Stoker's office, or does he bring?
No, he goes to. I can't remember now.
Yeah, he does just before, because this is before the last. Yeah, this is the last.
All right. Yeah.
story. Yeah. So now the sergeant's told him that Stoker's the estate agent, and he's rented
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but
the house out to the actor.
I thought that this was the comedy entry.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
This was pretty hilarious, actually. I thought John Pertwee just played that actor so camp, but he sort of touched on the fact that some actors are, like we said, up their own backsides.
And this is the point I'm making, that this cast,
Yeah.
they're not like that. So therefore,
No.
they're prepared to play a parody of what people think a Hollywood actor's like.
Yeah.
And he's all swishing in, and his girlfriend with, don't think cosmetic surgery was in fact, don't think it was really a big thing in the 70s, but,
it was I've made 100 horror films, and then
I know more than you, Mr. Director.
And I liked the bit where I don't know whether it was intentional or whether it was a joke between Christopher Lee and everyone, where he went, "Yes, I've got a high knowledge of Dracula, and I like Dracula. Bela Lugosi, not the new fella."
I would imagine, honestly, it being a joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because once again, do you remember This Is Your Life?
Yeah.
And did Christopher Lee, and was it Vincent Price that had turn up, or Peter Cushing? Like, we've seen lots of them, like, they're genuine friendships, and even later life, where Christopher Lee would come around to Peter Cushing's house and they'd be, pop in. There's a genuine friendship there.
Yeah.
These two were genuine friends up until the end. And I think with these sort of productions, there had to be a camaraderie between the cast and crew.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't be able to do a parody.
No. But it makes you wonder with that line whether it's actually written, or whether
I would say yes.
It was an ad lib.
No, I would say there was definitely a poke at fun because I knew Christopher Lee was part of it. I don't think it would be a genuine snide egg. I think it was just, oh, right, senior here.
I'm just wondering whether, Robert Bloch actually put it in, or whether it was put in by, the sort of John Pertwee come Christopher Lee joking around sort of thing.
I would, there's every chance it could have been that. I would say every chance it could have been that.
Yeah,
because John, at the end, Robert Bloch's American. Yeah, he wouldn't get. That's a British joke.
Yeah,
that's a British joke of people poking fun at each other.
Oh, brilliant! How brilliant is that? Yeah, Bela Lugosi, not this new fella. You could just imagine Christopher Lee being on set going, "Just bastard."
No, but it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be like, oh, it'd be bastard, and laughing,
joking,
because that's, once again, that's British humor. You make fun of you have a dig at each other, and it's all in playfulness. But the minute somebody comes in seriously, everyone turns their head and goes, "You what?"
Yeah.
There's a difference between that, and I could imagine that playfulness.
Yeah. But I thought that was hilarious.
But the whole oh god, I can't even remember what was the character's name? I can't even remember the character's name.
Which one?
Pertwee's.
That
doesn't matter because it's just John Pertwee.
Yeah, he was just called Paul.
Yeah, so John Pertwee just be himself. His son's amazing actor. Doesn't get enough credit. Sean, yeah.
Sean Pertwee, yeah.
He really is a chip off the old block.
Yeah. I mean, John Pertwee is he's Doctor Who. You know him as Doctor Who, and Wurzel Gummidge, and whatever he's in, he's part of the class actor type of school in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Who. He was the first sort of Doctor Who that I saw. I know you had William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton, and of course Peter Cushing, if you count the films, and then you had John Pertwee. So, from a youngster's point of view, I knew him as Doctor Who, But now you look at it, he's done so much, and he is quite a class actor, really.
But once again, not this huge, massive, disgusting ego that it's someone that happens to become famous through love of the craft, which is why you support them and you still cherish the way they give performances.
Yeah, he was in a couple of the Carry On films.
Oh, there's a Carry On horror film I want to look at some point.
Oh, Carry On Screaming.
Yes.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah, we'll have to get that on the list.
Trying tonight. Robert Titi, the Frankenstein. No, it's called the mummy. The mummy that comes out is called Robert Titi. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get that one on the list. That's
it's brilliant. It's probably one of my favorite carry-ons.
Yeah. But yeah, John Pertwee's just having a blast with us. One thing I did love was the reveal of the cloak. I'm gonna see the Shepperton Studios.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so clever.
Oh, you brought the wrong cloak. Shepperton Studios in big writing.
Yeah. Product placement ad.
I wonder where this film was made. Yeah.
I need to go find and see because it's like Shepperton's not too far from me. It's a real upper middle class area.
Is it?
Oh, it's proper. You wear your nice clothes to go into Shepperton. Even the walking along it's like a wee village. Still got that sort of village. It's even more antiquated than Twickenham. Twickenham's like Sainsbury's, but you go to Shepperton, it's Waitrose. You know what I mean? You think you're middle class, and
it's where the dogs have limousines, is it?
Yes, and their dog walker has a walker. Proper. Yeah, you're in the almost borderline aristocracy. Get into Shepperton. Yeah. So, right, okay, fine.
This John Pertwee, even down to his facial expressions in all the scenes, I thought they're hilarious. When he was becoming the vampire and his face was going out.
And the scene in the first original with the cloak, he's like,
Yeah. I really don't think that he was taking it seriously, or that's the way he was playing it. He was just enjoying it so much that he's just.
And I think the studio was joining in as well. It's like, here's a wee bit of lighthearted fun.
Yeah.
Let's get a bit silly, and I was on board. I was enjoying myself.
Yeah, and he suddenly his fangs grows, and he sort of goes, "Oh, freaking hell!" Yeah, and he's like, oh. And then he takes off. I don't know whether the studio were taking him because you quite clearly saw two thick. I mean, I took a photo of it, didn't I? Mm-hmm. Two bloody thick cables attached to him, and I mean, these days they bloody CGI.
Yeah, but that's where CGI is useful.
Yeah, but
that's where it's useful.
And then you saw him on the woman as well.
Oh yeah, hers were actually more obvious.
Yeah, but again, you didn't care because you thought it was funny, and it was a 70s film, and you accept that perhaps they never had the technology to wipe it out back then, but
of course
it was hilarious anyway. It was one of the hilarious sketches. So,
the whole scene, basically goes to bed because the cloak they had was not good enough, which I'm surprised he didn't twig on.
Yeah,
that's the funny bit as well. Like, not good enough. I'm going to get a proper cloak, and he goes into this antique store.
Yeah, and of course the guy who played Van Hartman was the Catweasel character who they used in practically nearly all the films.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Bolden, and he always played the sort of sinister part in each of the films. Amicus's, films, but
yeah, because you do get a sense of community with these films. That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's almost like an acting troupe that just happens to go and do different. I get more of a stage show. This is more stage show than film.
Yeah,
and it's just happens to be a film medium, but it's definitely stage show. It's like an acting troupe just going doing performances in the theater, which
Hmm.
I'm all for, because it's fun.
One thing I did notice, at the end of the thing when the copper goes round.
Yeah, so we'll get back to after that. You see him turn into a vampire, and we loved your portrayal so much we wanted you to join us, and Carla was brilliant in this. Obviously, sunlight doesn't affect vampires in this particular story. Doesn't go about during the day.
Puts on that cloak, doesn't he? And he can't see himself in the mirror. Well, if that was you and me, we go, bloody hell, Christ, I'm not wearing that again. But no, he loves his cloak.
But then, we'll go back to Holloway, and Holloway's like, I'm going to investigate this myself because I'm experienced.
Yeah.
Doesn't bring a torch with him.
No. And he's got this 4 candelabra, hasn't he? And it lights up the whole room.
Did you notice when he opens the thing, the spotlight turns on?
Yeah, hello.
Like the lights up from this way towards him.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I don't think candles work like that, but hey,
no. Of course, Cole being a photographer, he watched this morning. I watched it for the 3rd time this morning, and he came out of bed and he noticed it and he went, "Where's that lighting coming from?" That's not candles. That's a so and so light, and you think, "Oh, shut up! You're spoiling it."
It's like, we know, but we're just suspending disbelief so we can enjoy this. But I'm surprised that we're worried because that's all papier-mâché, that whole crypt set.
Yeah.
And that thing is huge. And I was just waiting for it. Like, all he has to do is brush against that wall. That's it. Woof.
Yeah.
The set's gone.
Yeah.
But obviously, John Pertwee hasn't figured out.
It was probably made of the same stuff that they made the castle out of that they were going to film it. When he was whacking it with a stick. Yeah.
But it was funny. But obviously, John Pertwee hadn't figured out being a vampire yet because he gets taken care of very quickly.
Yeah, by the woman.
No, John Pertwee, the Holloway. Holloway takes care of him very quickly. He obviously hasn't figured it out, the whole vampire thing yet.
No.
Why did they get a double coffin?
I suppose because she was the original vampire, wasn't she?
Yeah, but it's like, okay, so they've been sleeping together.
He wasn't. Yeah.
So she was a vampire, he wasn't.
Yeah.
So they've been sleeping together, obviously, in bed, and now that they're both vampires, they have to sleep separately in coffins.
But did you notice the mistake on that? Because Paul's coffin opens on the right-hand side when he attacks the detective.
Oh, when he's sitting up.
And then when he's sitting up, it opens on the left.
It's opened. It's like they flipped it round or something. They must have
had a dual hinge system. That you close one side and you can get in.
But obviously the other coffin has the thing, because they don't set up like that. Obviously they'll have a thing at the back to help them up. But but the whole thing was ridiculous anyway. I wasn't really.
The funny thing about this was that room, the crypt where the 2 coffins was, right? The detective had to actually wedge off because there was a padlock on it. And it was padlocked from the outside. So how did the 2 vampires get inside?
Yeah. And why? Or did she turn into a vat, go through the window, back, lock the door, and then go back in?
There wasn't any windows there.
Yeah.
So how did they get in? Or
that's what I'm saying. When you go to that and you see him bashing and the whole wall wobbling as he's hitting it.
Yeah.
It was like Prisoner Cell Block H. You just know you're descending into farce here. And with it, like I said, I'm opening the crypt door and the light coming on.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm just not taking any of this next scene seriously. I know it's going to be daft, so I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rubber bat.
Oh, it was like on strings, wasn't it? One of those that you
buy it at a pound shop for Halloween,
Yeah.
And
so, some bloke in the corner give us a kiss.
That was so funny. And then obviously we get the. I think they moved out then after that, or she moved out because we see Stoker again, and the for rent signs back up,
Yeah.
and then that's where he gives his closing
Unless-
monologue.
Unless they don't know that it's down there.
Well, I have a funny feeling he goes and cleans up afterwards.
Yeah.
Because he's got an impression of knows a bit more than he should and is kind of complicit in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gives a closing monologue.
He gives that end speech, doesn't he? Saying that the house, what's he says?
It reflects what's in you. It reflects your personality.
Right, yeah.
So right back to the first one, Method for Murder, it wasn't reflecting the writer. It was reflecting his wife's personality.
Yeah.
She had this plan anyway to do him in. So the house obviously reflected that back in her and made it real.
Yeah.
What did Peter Cushing do wrong? What did his character do wrong to deserve to get his head chopped off? Because he even let go of the image of her.
Was it that he was infatuated with?
Yes, but he even let go of it. Or was it because he became infatuated with the Salome character?
Yeah, he was infatuated
and disregarded his love
with the
for
woman, money, and then he said, "Oh, I've let go."
Oh, was it by ripping up the picture?
Ripping up the picture, yeah.
Is that how he doomed himself? Because when we see From Beyond the Grave, anyone that's been negatively affected, there's a reason for it, and that's sort of the lesson we're being told here.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee, because his treatment of his daughter, that makes sense. He's built up hatred and resentment there, not love. So his character getting what comes to him. John Pertwee's character just by being a tit,
being a complete actor.
But then again, nothing bad happened to him, really. If he joined the vampires and became one, it doesn't really seem to have affected his life.
Yeah, but he got killed, didn't he? Because the copper stuck the thing through.
But then that was more Holloway. Holloway's arrogance.
That was funny as well. Because when it went through his eyes, went and his face.
Oh, he was just hamming it up. He was just
brilliant.
Holloway's arrogance. To not understand the understandable, and being the hard-headed inspector, kind of did him in.
But we were on about John Pertwee camping it up in this film. I liked when he I think it was another of those take the mick incidents where he goes into Van Hartman, doesn't he? And he goes, "I'm Paul Henderson, the great actor. I've never heard of you." And it's just one of those situations where you get some of these actors saying, "I'm Tom Cruise. So, who are you?" It's,
do you know who I am?
Yeah,
no.
I really think that was taking the mick as well.
It's a whole parody of the Hollywood thing, or the stuck-up actor thing. That's which these guys, as we've seen through their legacies, didn't subscribe to.
No,
and they got there from talent and love their craft, and they still had that love of it right up to the end.
Yeah.
So this was a different breed of actor that I would hope we'd get to see again, or in a similar fashion.
It would be nice.
It'd be nice to go back to that.
Maybe
this is a turning point.
You get some great Hollywood actors out there, and they've got a lot of admiration, and then suddenly you read something saying they're completely and utter bastards.
Yeah, I'm going to treat.
I know I said Tom Cruise. He's had several bloody incidents with fans. Tobey Maguire's another one.
Yeah,
Spider-Man made him really, and
he's not really done anything else since.
No, but he was a complete bastard to his fans.
But that's the trend today. That the so-called the great and the elite treat people like shit, and the whole diva thing, where you show me how you treat people that help you. Or support you, or your staff, your aides, your helpers, and if you're treating them like absolute crap, well, guess what? I'm not interested in you because I'm not going to support you. You don't have to be like that. I'm sorry, there's no requirement Because we've seen through these guys, and others like them, that you don't have to be like that to be respected and revered and to leave a legacy.
I think I told you this before, but one of the best blokes I've ever met, and just met him in a street down where I used to live in Plymouth. And where I used to live wasn't, I mean, it's known for, where I used to live was known for the prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
It was the prostitute area where all the naval guys used to come down and have a good time. But he was down there, and me and my son were just walking past, and we both looked at each other and says, "That's that guy off Coronation Street, I says, "Yeah, Connor McIntyre." So we just turns around and goes, "Connor," like that. And he turned around and he goes, "Hiya, lads." Right, comes back. He's talking to us for about 20 minutes. About the show and what he's doing with Christmas in Panto, and why he was down in a prostitute area.
I suppose I better explain myself. He's an art gallery, didn't he?
He's a well-known artist, and his studios were actually down in the industrial area, and he was getting ready for a artist gallery show and everything like this. But he stood there talking to us. And then a couple of weeks later, I saw him in the Stonehouse post office. And he turned around and he goes, "Oh yeah, that recognised me, from talking to him a few weeks previous." And I thought, what a guy, he plays one of the biggest villains in Coronation Street. The sort of guy you love to hate.
I couldn't tell you. I don't watch.
But totally the opposite sort of end. He was such a nice guy playing the role.
But that's usually what happens. You tend to play. You want to, if you're a certain way, you want to play something completely. That's the whole point of acting, isn't it? And role playing is to step out of yourself and be something completely different.
But that's another example of an actor looking up to his fans as opposed to looking down on them.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they? You're paying money to see them at the cinema, etc., and lining their pockets. I know different with Colin McIntyre and TV. That was just an example.
But still, if people don't tune in, then the advertisers don't subscribe. It goes by viewership. It's a different economy.
It should be saying, I want to speak to the fans, like Christopher Lee.
Yeah, I think there's a difference. So, I can see where the line needs to be drawn. If you're sitting having a meal and then fans are jumping on top of you, and not giving you a minute, that's where respect has to go both ways, I think.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to be like a psycho stalker type, and chasing after them, then that's where the fan needs to be reined in.
Yeah.
But I think other fans, so if a fan starts grabbing, I think other fans should be the one that, sort them out.
Yeah.
If you're truly a fan of someone and you see them being harassed, you step in and create it by yourself. That you need security if you truly respect someone. So there's a bit of I'm playing devil's advocate
back in 1999 when I was living in Cardiff, me and my other half and our friends were good friends, very good friends. I'm talking go out for a meal friends with a certain weatherman, and everyone would come up and go, "Are you so and so?" I won't mention his name, and he just got fed up with it one night. We were in an Italian restaurant in Cardiff, and he must have had 4 or 5 different people come up to him and say, "Are you so-and-so, the weatherman?" And in the end, he went, "All I want to do is fucking eat." Right? And they shooed off. Of course, you could just imagine the headlines, this weatherman having a go at these fans, and all he wanted to do is eat his meal, and every 2 minutes these people coming up.
Yeah, that's
we have a photo. Can we do this? Can we do this?
Yeah, but you don't do that. Like, I know if I saw somebody I was interested in actor-wise, and they're sitting having a meal, well, I'm going to sit and have mine.
Yeah.
And then maybe if there's a chance to say, "Oh, how's it going?" or whatever, fair enough.
Yeah.
But this whole, that's where you can understand. But a lot of these people don't get on like that. It's not because of that. It's they're arseholes and they have to stay in for the people that pay their wages, and that's obvious. That is 100% understandable. If somebody's harassing you and you're just not getting a minute to yourself, then that's where you need to draw the line. But that's where people have a bit of social awareness.
This is the point though where I can contact Jimmy Somerville, the singer.
Mm-hmm.
you cheapskate. I bought you a pint, you owe me one. This was back in the 80s. And then we were in a bar in London, and quite a lot of famous people used to go in this bar. It was called the Dive Bar. It was actually mentioned in a song by the Pet Shop Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And it was downstairs in Chinatown, near Chinatown. And we went in there one night, and the guy I was with says to the landlady, "Anyone famous in tonight?" She says, "Yeah, we got Jimmy Somerville over there." And great guy, talk to you. Yeah, I'll need to con a pint out of you. Bought him a pint, was talking to him quite nice guy. You can tell he was Scottish, though, because as soon as it was his round, he pissed off. Oh, brilliant.
Oh man, that is so funny because it's true. Oh dear.
Nice guy, though. But you'll be a pint.
That's probably giving him nightmares. More than any stalkers, like, you owe me a pint. But yeah, this was fun. This was definitely a fun one to cover.
Yeah, as I said to you on chat, I loved this entry into the if only they had kept up the sort of standard right through, because like I said, they started off good, dived, and then came back with
sort of pulled it back, but too late for the studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to think our analysis of all this started with me saying, "Oh, there was a film with a bloke in the mirror."
Yeah, and I can't remember what it's from.
I can't remember what it was called.
And it just turned into the whole. But then this is the whole organic nature of this show and everything else, and you can't fake this.
No.
Do you know what I mean? That's why you have conversations with people. You don't know where you're going to end up and what rabbit hole is going to lead down, and that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
If you had a team of research, this is currently trending at the moment, and that's not interesting. The whole point's finding these hidden gems and hidden stinkers as well, and sort of seeing what's out now that mightn't be forefront, because there's nothing at the moment in the mainstream or being touted that's interesting.
No, it's
not excited at all. So it's fun to go down these little rabbit holes. And
the films that are on at the moment, just you sort of start to watch and then you think,
yeah,
give me something to actually,
be interested in.
To be interested in, yeah. And I'm watching a lot of old movies recently, and I saw this one, The Russian Bride, and I'm not sure it came before Get Out, but the storylines are so alike.
It would not surprise me. I do not like Jordan Peele. I think he's a race-baiting scumbag.
Yeah,
I think he's a bit of a hack because everything else he's done after it. So I'm wondering, it could be he's taking this story. I need to watch it.
This guy,
I don't like him. I really don't. Yeah. I don't like him in person. I don't think he's a good faith.
He goes on one of these websites where you can get a mail order bride, more or less, internet bride. And
I was joking about that.
No. It's
legit. I was actually just joking about the Russian Bride.
Actually, the story.
All right.
And he gets this girl and her daughter to come across, and finally, sort of gradually, you see the bad side of him. He smokes cocaine. You get the story that he did have a son, but his son died. And gradually you find out bits about him, and then you see his nasty side where he's, doing various things. And suddenly he's done all his back, investigation. And the reason why he really wants them there is because the daughter, who he's brought over with his Russian bride, he marries her.
Mm-hmm.
They get married, and all his friends at his wedding are there for a reason, and you don't find out that until you find out
guessing where this is going.
His son is still alive, although on life support, and he suffers from a disease where all his organs are rotting away. And he's done his homework, this billionaire, and he's found out that the woman's daughter is the perfect match for all the organs, and
Have I seen this?
he wants to transfer all the organs over.
I might have seen this actually.
Yeah, it's quite a good. I thought I enjoyed it, and I thought
Now
it
to
was quite.
think about it, I've seen this or something very similar. Or
Well, I thought, get out.
no, that's God, what was it? It's something else. It's completely different. It was strange.
It's very bloodthirsty. There's a lot of
Do you know what? After this, we've got Doctor Terror's House of Horrors. No, sorry, we've got Torture Garden next. We've 2 more to do.
Yeah.
We might, if you're up for it, we might squeeze this in between.
Sorry?
I said we'll obviously schedule the next. We've 2 more films in this series, but if you've got time, we might squeeze an extra one in and do one of the do Russian Doll,
Russian Bride.
Russian Bride. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking of the TV series, which is really strange.
It's on Prime at the moment. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, okay. So what we'll do is obviously next up we've got Torture Garden. But in between them, we might try and fit a slot in and do this as well and go over the plot. That'd be cool.
Yeah. But you'll see elements of Get Out on it and you'll think, this is a lot better than Get Out. But like you said, you don't like Jordan Peele anyway.
He's a one-trick pony. All he's got to talk about is race and race baiting. And I hate that because we're all more than just immutable characteristics. And when you're boiled down to just one aspect of your personality, and it doesn't matter what it is, your bone coverings or who you rub your bits up against or whatever, that's only one part of your life. That's not what makes a human being a person. And this whole idea that we're all boiled down to that is disgusting. It's bigotry at its highest.
Yeah.
And I thought we'd move past that in the 90s, and now we're like devolving back into that nonsense again because once again, it's back to talentless people using it as an excuse why they're crap. And that's creating bad products or getting into jobs they don't deserve to be in. It's all this, you can't criticize me, I've got that. Or if you have criticism, it's because you're this, therefore you're evil. And it's just stupid. It's utter stupidity, and it does nothing to bring people together.
No.
Movies and films and art and medium has brought people from different aspects of life together more than it's brought us apart. But now it seems to be trying to do the opposite because of these arseholes. And the sooner they all implode, sooner Hollywood implodes and something else rises from the ashes, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I hope 2024 is going to be one of them years that really sinks the boot into them. But we'll see where it goes. All we can do is keep doing what we're doing, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just hopefully reigniting people's interest in older properties and newer ones and looking at directors, we have a whole, as well as the normal streams of like these wee series is going on as well. It's just pointing people in a direction they maybe never thought about looking at before, It's a journey worth doing.
And making them realise as well that old films are worth watching.
Yeah.
Just because they're old doesn't mean to say you can't watch them because you've got to watch all the new rubbish that's coming out.
And look at the new rubbish that's out. It looks worse. Like most times it looks worse than. And the only thing that stopped a lot of these movies is just technology at the time, but they're put together much better. And if you have an appreciation for that, then you know what they expect from your movies. And as a customer, you're allowed to hold the person trying to sell you something up to a higher standard. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not evil. It's not estaphobic. It's not blah, whatever the stupid nonsense they're bringing at the time. You're allowed to go, well, I'm sorry, I'm not buying your product because it's shit. I want something better from you.
Yeah.
Here's people that have done it before with less, so why can't you with more?
Yeah. Yeah, you're getting more money these days. Give me some bloody good stuff. These guys made a film for, a fraction of the cost and it's twice as good as yours.
Yeah. So there endeth our sermons for this time. Steve, as always, mate, thanks very much.
I thought I really enjoyed this, and I'd give it easily a 7 to an 8 out of 10. This one, because I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, give it a watch. All you people,
links in the description. Give it a try.
Yeah,
but there you go, folks. That'll do us for this one. Like I said, we're hitting the new year with a bang.
Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year, and keep an eye. These streams are coming. we're back again tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have more stuff coming up at the end of the week. But there you go. Keep up to date with the channel. Do the typing clicky things. And until next time, keep it creepy. Keep it horrific.